Hey,
Hey, Pharmacist Ben, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Good to see ya.
Good to see you too. Becca, I
Did you have a
took
good
your
holiday?
name.
Did you have a
Don't
good
be
holiday?
mad.
Where's
Took it.
Becca?
I put Becca in the background.
Oh, okay.
It's, it's,
All
it's,
right. Behind every great man is a woman in the
yeah.
background.
Say. There you go. Say hi to the world. Look at that. The fantastic
Hey, it's
who brought
Becca.
How
us
are you?
together.
Oh, good. What's up, Becca?
You know what?
Yes.
2025 has been a great year, but
I'm
2026 is
thinking.
going to be
I'm
even
feeling it.
better.
I am feeling
I'm
26.
already feeling it.
I'm feeling 26. I was just saying that to somebody. I'm feeling 26 is going to be good. So we'll see what happens. It's the world's changing. It's changing, huh? You got to move with
Every
it.
minute.
One of the reasons why I love AJ so much is because he's with the changes. He's riding the changes. He is not intimidated by the changes. He uses the changes. He leverages them. I learn from him. I
He
learn from
does.
AJ.
And, if it wasn't for AJ, I would be so in the dark when it came
I
to
bet.
a lot
I
of
bet.
things.
Yeah, me too. Me too. AJ's taught me a lot.
I think.
AJ, AJ, love your skill set. Are you one of those guys that just has fun, like doing that kind of stuff and like putting together little images and putting people's pictures on them? And
Well, Becca's better with the images.
is she
Yeah, much better. But
okay?
what I like is making things that makes things easier for other people
I like
because
that.
I'm
I like
I'm
that.
able to navigate some stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people can't do. Just get intimidated by it. They
They
won't.
get
They won't do it.
intimidated.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not.
yeah,
It's not hard.
yeah. It's not hard. It's not hard, but it's intimidating. I'm intimidated by it sometimes. I
You
feel
know.
myself intimidated by it sometimes.
But
There's
that's
Do you know what OBS is?
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I've been
We use
learning.
it every day.
Oh, you use it every day. I've been learning it, and it's intimidating. I'm not going to lie. I can do the
Just,
basics. I can do the very basics, but it's a little scary. That thing looks like a Star Wars cockpit or something. That the screen, what I'm talking about. All the dials and everything on there, and all the.
Yeah.
So, but you use OBS every day.
Every single day for
oh,
dealing
yeah.
with Doc.
That's an OBS thing, huh?
We send it from OBS to
All the different
Redeem.
places.
Let's not give all
You're
our.
gonna have to teach. You're gonna have to teach me how to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Becca
you're
I
gonna have
can
taught
to
do
me
that.
teach.
how to do it. By the way,
You're gonna have to teach me how to do that because I want to work on that. But anyway, we're here to talk about
did,
nutrition.
did you see? Well, we're talking particularly about the Skyscraper protocol.
I don't know what that is.
You
I did
know,
see something about a skyscraper that you did.
it's the sky. It's rebuilding the body from the inside out. Now, you always kind
Okay.
of talk about a particular part of the body, which is our scaffolding, which is our matrix, which is
Oh, that's
so
what you want to talk
we're
about.
talking about the
Oh, I
building of
love talking about that. I love talking about that.
and
That's the very essence of anti-aging, is
and
the connective tissue.
and if I could read you, I have a couple questions that came in. If I could read you one from our good friend Wyoming Annie,
Okay.
um, he's complained to his primary care for 4 years that his legs felt wooden. Last March, he fell in the yard, couldn't get up, crawled over to the gas meter. He walks a half mile twice a day. He's been doing that for 2 years. Takes a cane in case he falls. He's 5'10", 140, 79 years old. He is going. They think he's getting a neurology referral. He has some respiratory problems, some food
Hmm.
allergies. They've got him on Benadryl.
So hang on. What's the question here? Do you want me to help the guy?
I want you to help the guy.
All right. So here's the thing. You don't need to I know you're telling me all the things that are going wrong with him, but it's just MBFA. And so you don't really need to know that. You need to just do the base. This is why our model, and we own this model, and it came out of just me observing cases, hundreds, maybe thousands of cases. This is why this model is so important and so powerful, is because it gets right to the bottom. Everything else is built on top of that. If you want to use your skyscraper model, that's kind of the skyscraper model, is that everything, the wooden legs and the I forgot what other stuff you said, the asthma or breathing problems. I think he said respiratory problems of some kind.
Feeling
I,
like feeling like feet are burning, doesn't
Feet
have
are
diabetes,
burning.
apparently.
No, he doesn't have. Yeah, right, like that. He doesn't. Yeah, yeah. You know, where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay, it's like you ever hear that old joke? Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? You know, you ever hear that? It's like,
Yeah.
what are you going to believe? Me? I'm the doctor. You believe me? You're going to believe your own lying eyes here? What do you know? You know, that's kind of what it's like. It's like, obviously, you've got the symptoms of diabetes. It doesn't matter if it's called diabetes. And remember, these diagnosis is a very interesting, transparent concept or subject. When I say transparent, it means we don't notice it. We just assume it. It's kind. I saw a cartoon a long time ago where two fish are looking at each other. They're in the ocean. They're looking at each other, and they go, "Have you heard of this stuff called water? What's stuff called water?" One fish is saying to the other, and it's like water's transparent because it's everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
The medical model has a setup that is transparent to us because we just assume it. You go into the doctor, you have a little interview, he asks you your symptoms, to maybe give you a test, you get a drug, you go home. That's basically what it is. And this model, not only does it not work for chronic degenerative disease, it's not necessary. This guy says, a classic example, this guy probably has blood tested, and they said he doesn't have diabetes because they tested his blood sugar was at his fasting blood glucose was at 119. It wasn't at 120. If they had 120, be a diabetic. That's how arbitrary the thing is. Who came up with 119 or 120, by the way?
Yeah.
And by the way, you're going to love this one. Talk about transparency. You know how you go to a doctor or get your blood tested and they tell you, oh, your cholesterol's high, or your blood glucose is high, or your thyroid hormone's low, or your testosterone's low. Where do the lows and highs come from? How do they know what's low and high?
Yeah, I had read something about that one time. They got
how do they do it?
Somewhere they got a mean from
where? What? Don't you think that's a relevant question?
Yeah.
There are people who have organs taken out. There are people who are literally because of something that a test said. Don't you think these are important questions, like how we're making assessments, the criteria we're using? Turns out that for high and low, they get a bunch of people together and they try to get the different races and different genders and different age groups and different this and different that, try to get a random sampling, which of course is impossible. And they get 1,000 or 2,000 people and they work the numbers out and they plug it into a computer, get an algorithm, and they see what normal is. But that doesn't account for the people who are outliers, who are not normal. So you get to your blood, you have all the symptoms of diabetes or all the symptoms of dysglycemia, we'll say. Dysglycemia is the biochemistry, diabetes is the brand name. You have all the symptoms, and they say, well, look at the test score. It's normal. You're fine. But I feel like crap. My fingernails are brittle. My hair's falling out. I'm obese. I can't stop eating sugar. You have all the symptoms, but hey, it says right here on this paper here, Remember the Wizard of Oz? It says, I can't give you a brain, but I can give you something instead of, I give you a diploma instead of a brain. Right? Remember that? I can't give you a brain, but I can give you a diploma, right? He says, I can't give you a heart, but I can give you a medal,
Oh, wow.
Right? And that's kind of the world we live in, You got all the symptoms of hypothyroidism, but hey, it says right here, thyroid's normal. Can't argue with the numbers, Can't argue with the test. So anyway, the bottom line is for this guy, he has to do the same thing everybody else has to do. And people, it's so easy. All right, let me rephrase that. It's so simple. It's not necessarily easy. I get that, but it's simple. Oh, look, Monique is on the call. Mm-hmm. Hi, Monique. Monique's rocking it.
Ready?
Yeah, she's rocking it. She's my superstar. She's my superstar. I think her mom. She signed her mom up here. Her mom's on here too. So anyway, it's so simple. So for this guy, and let me give you a caveat. Most people who are in their 70s or 80s, they don't want to do all that stuff. They don't want to do it. They don't want to stop. They don't want to change their entire life. So get them on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
Okay, Wyoming Annie has got him on several longevity products. That's why she's in a quandary.
Okay, so here's the quandary. It's not just products. How do products get into the bloodstream?
Through the digestive system.
How does the blood become toxic?
Through the digestive system.
How does MBFA start?
From what we eat and get
Through the digestive system.
Absolutely.
And this is so important. I'll tell you why. Number one, it's true. It works. But there's so much emotional baggage with food. There's so much guilt with food. There's so much unconscious hormonal biochemical drives for certain foods and certain types of foods that it comes loaded with mental and emotional walls that keep the message from getting through. So we feel guilty. We feel bad. We don't want to hear it. You try telling somebody not to eat French fries when they're on beta blocker drugs, for example. Tell them not to eat French fries. See how well that goes over. It doesn't go over. So you got to be motivated in order to really understand how to leverage. It's all about leverage here. How to leverage the power of the intestine, the juncture between the intestine and the blood. That line, that wall where the intestine meets the blood is the key to everything. In order to leverage the power of that, maximize the leverage of the power of that, you got to get over a lot of things, and you got to kind of push through, draw certain drives that we have for sugar and for fat, and that are manipulated. Drives that are manipulated by sorcerers, people who know more about our brain than we do. The story of marketing is so tawdry and anti-human, misanthropic, but it's really bad when it comes to food. When it comes to our food, the food supply is driven not by biological needs, by profits and profit margins. And so there's an incentive to sell foods that don't have anything in them. Cereal. You know what? Do you know the biggest companies in the world are chip companies and cereal companies?
I bet.
The biggest companies, Keebler, Nabisco, Nestle, these big food they're food giants, and they make a lot of their money, if not most of their money in food anyway, from these processed flour foods. First of all, flour is dirt cheap, literally, right? But when you get a box of cereal, say, right, you ever notice it says this is filled by weight, not by volume?
Mm-hmm.
If you ever read the cereal box, it says filled by weight, not by volume. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't have to be filled to the brim. It just has to weigh whatever it says it's going to weigh. And what you'll notice is all of that is in like that pound box is in a space of like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the food is, because it's air. There's nothing in it. The food is completely devoid. It's like eating air. It's as close to eating air. They use this process called extrusion. Have you heard? You know what extrusion is? Extrusion is when you turn the stuff into mush and you pump it through a machine. That's called an extrusion machine, like a Play-Doh machine. Remember the Play-Doh machines?
Of course.
The Play-Doh, that's an extrusion machine. So they use extrusion machines that pump air into the stuff. So most of the foods we're eating, the processed foods that we're eating, are air. They're selling air because they're pumped with air. And on top of that, when you have a starch and you fill it with air, the starches have little bubbles in them, and you fill the starch with air and with fat, with hard fat, you create a crisping sound. And human beings can't get enough crisp. And the combination of either air or fats inside the little bubbles of starches, they're little openings. If you look at a piece of starch under a microscope, potato starch or wheat starch, you'll see it has a bunch of little holes in it. If you fill those holes up with air with fat, you get a crisping sound, and human beings can't get enough crisp. We cannot get enough crisp. You want to make money? Crisp. Crisp. It's all about crisp. In fact, when you open a package of cereal, it'll make a crisping sound. That's intentional. That's a crisping sound. They want you to think crisp. Everything's crisp. People don't like soggy. They like crisp. You know what? You know why, by the way? Why that is? Why are we driven by crisp? First of all, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, right?
Of course. And as I'm thinking about it, everything
driven by crisp. And so what these food manufacturers understand is they can create foods that have no food in them as long as they have crisp, as long as they have sensorial value or biochemical value. They don't have to have nutritional value. And so we have an entire food supply with no nutritional value. And that food supply with no nutritional value does a couple of things. First of all, obviously there's no nutrition in it, so you can't build your body. But second of all, in order to create these foods that don't have nutritional value, they have to put chemicals in them. Some nasty chemicals in them. And some of those nasty chemicals are inflammatory for the intestine. And so we find that ultra-processed food is behind colon cancer and colorectal cancer. And that doesn't mean necessarily processed, that doesn't necessarily mean artificial food. Bacon, sausage, processed meats, those are among the worst foods you could ever eat for your colon. And so it's not just ultra-processed foods, it's just plain processed foods, which these kinds of meats are. Between processed foods and unprocessed foods, not only do you starve the body, deplete the body of these essential nutrients, but you create a toxic environment in the intestine that leads to the leaky gut. And so our food supply is the first place to work. First. In fact, if you do this, just this one thing alone, and by the way, I don't mean to sound like I'm better than anybody here, because I do the same things. I'm a human being too, and I find myself manipulated, eating foods that I don't want to eat, etc. So I'm not positioning myself as being better than anybody. I'm just saying, if you're sick, this is where you want to start. So here's what you do. Every meal, you start off with vegetables. That'll do two things for you. And it can even be frozen vegetables. If you don't want to cook vegetables, just do frozen vegetables. That'll do two things for you. Number one, from a physiologic perspective, it'll fill you up. You'll have the fiber from the vegetables, and you'll be less likely to want to eat anything else or eat a lot of anything else. And make no mistake about it, the less you eat, the longer you live. Less calories you ingest, the longer you live, as long as you're getting enough nutrition, of course. So the veggies do two things. Physiologically, they'll fill you up. You won't eat as much food. But secondly, psychologically, it's much harder to do Pop-Tarts or to do apple pie or to do whatever it is that you intuitively know is a problem if you started your meal off with veggies. So that's the first thing you do. Start all meals off with veggies. And that alone will make a huge difference on your digestive health, and then ultimately, because of the connection to the blood, to everything else. So if you don't want to go all out, food diary is really the best way to do it. How do you get a food diary, AJ?
You go to Critical Health News and sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get a link right away for our food diary. And by the way, if you follow the food diary and you write down all the things you ate and how you felt hour by hour, I've created a new app that you can then reach out to us, and I'll put the phone number on the screen. Reach out to us, questions at dailywithdoc.com or 855-949-3377. And one of our team will take your food diary, put it through the app, and identify exactly what's going on with you and why you're dealing with a certain problem, in a quicker manner than deciphering it on your own. And we will help you.
AJ. And you know what? For the people who are on this call who aren't part of the Longevity family, what AJ just said, the last thing he said, do not underestimate that. We will help you. That's why we're here. We're going to help you. If you're new to Longevity, we're going to help you. If you're a distributor, we're still going to help you. That's why we do the show. I've done 3 shows today.
Which is amazing, by the way.
One after back to back to back. We're dedicated.
I'm surprised Dr. Dennison let you away to even.
I hung up on her.
Tell her my boy is waiting.
Gotta go. I'm just kidding. No, I didn't hang up. I love Dr. Dennison. No, but this is really what it is. I'm a pharmacist, right? So I'm almost like, I haven't literally been sworn, but it's almost like I'm de facto, or at least metaphorically sworn to help people. That's my job, is to help people. And in longevity, sometimes we forget. I can afford the luxury of forgetting because I'm a healthcare professional, but sometimes distributors forget. The metric that we want to use is, did we help people? The money will probably come, right? That's not if your metric is the money, it's a lot harder, and you don't do as good a job. You want the metric to be, how many people did I help? How many lives did I change? How many moms did I give hope to? And by the way, as important as changing lives is giving people hope and giving people inspiration. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, that's a huge part of this, because the medical model is not giving us hope and inspiration. The medical model is telling us you're going to be on this drug the rest of your life. The medical model is telling us that you got to take your gallbladder out. You got to have your female organs removed. You got to take this beta blocker drug or have this device stuck in your artery or whatever. You know, the medical model is about mesh, not metabolism. Health is metabolic. It's not mechanical. The medical model looks at the body as it's a mechanical system, like it's a car or some, you know, like a I don't know, what's a complicated mechanical system? It's a good complicated mechanical
Well,
system.
you know, I understand what you're saying. Each part is separate and interchangeable.
Yes, it takes the part out and it looks at the part. It looks at the part. It doesn't see it as all connected to everything else. This is why nutrition is so elegant. This is why I call nutrition God's medicine, because man's medicine takes out each part and then looks at it and says, what can I do to the part? God's medicine works systemically, holistically, which comes from the word whole, which comes from the word holy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Which, by the way, someone who is really good with cars knows that you have to change all your fluids. They kind of understand that it's a whole system.
All right.
So even the guy that would take out, you know, the one part.
He'd make sure that all the interconnecting parts were somehow related to it.
He would understand that. You know, this is messed up because this is probably not functioning as well as it should be.
And it's not I gotta say this here. I know I say it a lot, but it's really important to say this. It's not the individual doctors. They're good people. It's the model, the paradigm, the way we look at the body culturally. Like, you can work on individual parts. So you take the heart out and just treat the heart without treating the blood or the digestive system or the spleen or the liver. They're all connected. You can't. The heart is not the heart. The heart is the heart, liver, digestive system, blood, pancreas, spleen, stomach, lung complex. You can't just take out the heart. You can't just do the heart. You can't just treat the heart. You can't just treat the skin. You can't just treat the brain. You can't just treat individual parts. When we're sick, we just naturally, like I was saying earlier, you know, there's this model in place that we don't even think about. It's transparent to us. You got a skin problem, you go to the dermatologist. You got a GI problem, you go to the GI guy. You know, gynecologist if you're a female health issue, neurologist if you got a movement disorder, cognitive guy if you got a brain disorder, whatever. You go to these individual doctors, these specialists who specialize. And guess what? In the history of specialists, I don't know how many specialists have ever cured or reversed multiple sclerosis or you know, rheumatoid arthritis or heart disease or whatever their specialty is, because you can't do it that way. You have to do it holistically, like the entire body. And if you say, how am I going to do that holistically? This is why nutrition is so elegant. This is why nutrition is so elegant. You don't have to think about it. This is why it's God's medicine. It'll get distributed. When you take vitamin C for your cold, you'll make more collagen. You'll have stronger adrenal glands. You'll have a better functioning thyroid. You'll make more moisture factors in your skin. You'll have less wrinkles. You'll have better gums. Vitamin C, and you're taking it for a cold. Because this is how nutrients work. The nutrients get distributed to all the right places. Drugs don't. That's not how drugs work. When you take a drug, it's like, get thee Satan behind me. Get out of here. Do you know when you take a prescription drug, say you take a beta blocker, 200 milligrams a day, they have to give you 200 milligrams a day because they know that even though you only need 10 milligrams or 100 milligrams or a smaller amount, your liver is going to detoxify that immediately. So they have to give you an extra dose. They have to give you a higher dose of poison because
they
have to account. Yes,
your liver can handle.
They have to overwhelm your liver. Bingo.
Damn.
That's exactly what they have to do. They got to overwhelm your liver. So people, What planet is this? Where did this become okay? Where did it become okay? But it's not, I don't want to blame any individuals. It's the model. It's the model. It's not any individuals. And I really got to say it because I have a lot of doctor friends and they're good people. They're really, really good people. They want to help. They want to make a difference. And if you ever go to a hospital, God forbid you should go to a hospital. It's like they're saints.
Pharmacist Ben, help out our guy. Even though
Digestive health, number one. This is back to our story.
So
digestive health.
Fixing his.
You're not fixing anything. You're giving him the raw materials. When the body is as broken down as his is, and when you're as old as you are, you got to find your maximum leverage points.
He's concerned about his burning feet.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you about all that. Okay. It's about first of all, it's about leverage. You understand what I mean when I say leverage? A little bit goes a long way. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find leverage points where a small move can have maximum results. You follow me?
Yes, sir.
That's a lever. A lever is like this thing, like a seesaw, where you push down and you can a 1,000-pound rock will go up. That's the beauty of a lever. Is a small move gets you big results. So when you have a body that's not maximally, but it is very broken down, MBFA, you need leverage points. And the leverage point, the maximum leverage point in the body is the juncture between the intestine and the blood. That's the maximum leverage point in the body for everything. Everything. Now, we said it's going to be tricky for him to do all that. And most people when they're 70 don't want to do everything they need to do. Get him on BTT and have him use it with his meals, number one. That's number one. And she said he's on some products. I imagine he's already on BTT.
Yes.
Correct? BTT. Number two, burning feet and burning extremities is a sign of inflammation in the nerve. Right?
Yes.
Inflammation is controlled by two factors. Let's say there's two of the factors that control inflammation. There's a lot of things that control inflammation, but two of the factors that control inflammation are fats, especially in the nerves. Once the fats in the nerve become disturbed, they become very sensitive, and that's what causes the burning. So fatty vitamins and essential fatty acids, ultimate EFAs. And secondly, the most important anti-inflammatory, among the most important anti-inflammatory nutrients you could use are the B vitamins, particularly what I consider to be the most underappreciated of all the essential nutrients. You know what that is? The most under-recognized, in my opinion. Vitamin B1.
Okay.
It was the first vitamin to be discovered. And it was discovered when it was noticed that people who had burning legs were deficient in vitamin B1. Mm. And it was discovered that when you replaced the B1, the burning went away. That's how they discovered vitamins, by the way. What happened was when the United States and England and the Western powers started to explore the world and colonize the world, one of the places they went to was the Philippines and Asia, and the islands, the barrier islands there in that part of the world. I forgot they call them the first islands, they call them. And they went over there, and as it happened, when people from the West came to colonize certain parts of the world, those parts of the world with indigenous populations, they wanted to be like the Westerners. They thought it was like really cool to be rich and Western and all that. So they started to incorporate Western habits. And in the Philippines, they happened to eat a lot of rice. But when they ate rice in the Philippines, they ate real rice, like the whole rice. In the United States, for whatever reason, we like white. So we just took all the stuff out. Yeah, we like our things white here in the United States, for whatever reason that is, right? so they got rid of all the brown stuff, and they ate white rice, and they went to the Philippines. They wanted to be like us, and they got rid of the brown stuff, and they ate the white rice. And all of a sudden, they started getting burning legs. And so some guy, Casimir Funk, I think his name was, he started doing some experiments. It wasn't just him; there were a bunch of people. They started doing some experiments, and they noticed that when you gave them back the rice, the brown stuff in the rice, the burning went away. So they started to, back then they knew about protein and fats and carbohydrates, but they didn't know about these magical things that were in foods. They knew about the big stuff, but they didn't really know there was other things in there. So it was a radical idea. Wait a minute. We give them the rice polishings and their burning goes away. That was radical. This is 1890 or 1880. Can you imagine what I'm saying here?
Absolutely.
Today we take it for granted. This was a magical thing that you have these little, these polishings that they're throwing out and you give them to people and the burning goes away, right? So they started to study and they looked to see what was in there. And that's when they discovered thiamine, vitamin B1, the very first vitamin. And they started giving the rice polishings and they treated it. And then they synthesized the B1 and it's been used, and that's one of its main uses. But the reason B1 works is because it's very important for neural conduction, nerve conduction. And there are places in the body that are dependent on nerve conduction for their functionality. And when you don't have B1, that nerve conduction suffers. So, for example, vitamin B1 deficiency will cause brain problems, cognitive problems, psychoses, Wernicke psychoses, alcoholic psychoses. In fact, if you have alcoholic psychoses, they'll give you B1 right in the hospital, right in the drunk tank. It's the cure. It reverses it. Vitamin B1 is also important because it's for neurological support for the heart. Heart obviously depends on neurology for its contractions, for pumping. And in my opinion, one of the most underappreciated places where neurology impacts our health for better or for worse is in digestive health. And vitamin B1 deficiency will cause chronic constipation because the defects or inhibition of neural conduction to the intestine. And so B1 is one of the most important and underappreciated, I bet nobody's ever heard of it, for digestive health. In fact, the disease that's caused by B1 deficiency, do you know what it is, what it's called, what the name of the disease is?
With beriberi?
Beriberi, exactly, very good. You know what beriberi means?
I can't.
I can't. Isn't that great? I can't. Because you can't do anything. Yeah, it's because of your nerves. So beriberi, everybody knows, doctors, everybody who studies nutrition knows that beriberi is important for peripheral neuropathy, or is one of the causes of peripheral neuropathy, but you don't have to have full-blown beriberi to have peripheral neuropathy. Beriberi also affects the brain. So, you may not have full-blown beriberi, but you may just have emotional problems. You may just be angry. You may just not be processing information correctly. I think I got you. Are you muted? I muted. No, you muted you. Did I mute you? Or I can't hear you, AJ.
Wyoming Annie is saying that her husband's taking B1 3 times a day, 300 milligrams.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome. Let me tell you something else about B1. Vitamin B1 deficiencies are caused by sugar. And the more sugar you eat, the more deficient you're going to be in B1. And the more alcohol you drink, the more deficient you're going to be in B1. So, yeah, and we know that B1 deficiency will cause emotional problems and mental health issues. So do you ever wonder how many kids are going off to school after eating Pop-Tarts and orange juice and toast and Danishes, whatever, Captain Crunch or whatever cereal they're eating, and then going off to school? They're very likely deficient in B1. They don't need Ritalin. They need thiamine. You know what I'm saying? And not only because of the way the system is built, and because these are God's medicine, not only is the thiamine going to help them with their cognitive issues, but it's also going to help them with their heart, with their immune system, with their muscle movement, performance, mental, brain health in terms of taking tests. So, to me, when you think about the way these supplements work vis-a-vis drugs, it's like a no-brainer. So for this guy, back to our story with this guy, vitamin B1, thiamine. If he wants to do more supplements, I would be directing my attention. I don't know if Annie's has him on the healthy blood sugar pack, but that's where I would be directing my attention, is on blood sugar issues. Now, the food is probably a problem too, but it's a little trickier. It's a little easier to handle his blood sugar. So I would be not paying attention to my diagnosis as a non-diabetic and assuming I have dysglycemia, disturbances in blood sugar, and then treating him that way. So ask Wyoming. That's how I would be focusing on that. I know that was like a half-hour answer for the one question.
No, that was actually important, and I think everybody was able to follow along. Some products that we have, just before I get to the next question. Thank you, Becca. She found that Osteo-Mag has 25 milligrams of thiamine. BioAlert, 3 milligrams of thiamine, and Synaptive has 1.5 milligrams of thiamine. This is in addition to our Tangy Tangerine.
Tangy Tangerine is the way to go. Tangy Tangerine is really the way to go. I think there's like 100 milligrams in the scoop. But Annie's saying that her husband was taking 300. That's fine too. It's water soluble. It's water soluble. You're going to urinate it out. It's not. Yeah. There's no toxicity associated with it.
Yeah, I love how Victor says. I love. He says. This is my buddy Victor. I always love listening to Ben. He gives you so much great health information. I've learned from him over the years. But he doesn't say, I love AJ too. This is going to be my boy.
AJ. Give some AJ some love. Give him some love.
I'm just joking. All right, Pharmacist Ben. Another question here is, Pharmacist Ben, is there anything I can do to help cure my arrhythmia, which my cardiologist says is permanent?
Yes. Yes, I don't know if it might be damage to the heart. I can't speak to that. But there's tons he could do. Arrhythmia, in order to understand rhythmia, you got to understand rhythmia. Arrhythmia, when you put A in front of a word, that means that negates it, right? So arrhythmia is non-rhythmia. Rhythmia is one of the most amazing phenomena in all of biology, and that's how a heart beats in a rhythm. That's amazing. It starts off with a little tiny, there you go. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Victor. That's great. Or did you type that? Did you write that, AJ? Oh, he did. Okay. All right. So heart beats. In order for heart to beat, there's like a concentration of cells, and then the cells vibrate, electrically vibrate, and then it's like the wave, like in a sporting event. You know how you ever do the wave? Like it's like the wave. A wave happens. And that wave is extremely tightly regulated and coordinated process where so many things have to go right. I mean, think about it. How does that even happen? If I tell you about it, how it happened, you wouldn't even, it'd be impossible to comprehend if you don't have an understanding of biology. It has to do with how electricity flows in and out of cells. Literally, the cells, one cell is like 1/100th the size of a head of a pin. But that one cell has a certain intelligence. Nobody knows how. In pharmacy school, they used to write OGK on the board when they talk about stuff like this. OGK, only God knows. And because nobody knows how this happens. But anyway, the cell, there's little gates, openings on the cell, and minerals, elements will flow in and flow out. And that creates electrical charges. And that happens with billions of cells simultaneously. Come on. I mean, what the heck is going on here, right? So anyway, the whole process is incredibly tightly controlled and orchestrated and choreographed and regulated to degrees that we can't even begin to fathom. And all of that requires oxygen, and it requires nutrition, and it requires a clean place to do its work, for the cells to do their work in. So once you have toxicity, where do you think you have toxicity from? And that includes sugar. All of it, exactly. And low levels of oxygen from inflammation and clogs, and malnutrition from leaky gut, inflamed intestine, and lack of intake. You've got a perfect storm. Of course, you're going to have issues. You cannot have issues. You're going to have issues everywhere, but because the heart is so obvious, because of how it works and because its needs are so great, the heart and the brain are burning up more nutrients than any other part of the body, you're going to notice it there. So what do? The same stuff, the same thing. Now, the heart happens to be, because we're talking about the electricity, so the B vitamins are very important for the electrical nature of the heart. Pound the B vitamins beyond Tangy. Pound it. Ultimate EFAs, because those electrical charges that go in and out, they depend on fats. This is why This is why fats are so important, is because the fats act like insulators that regulate the flow. So the flow is not sporadic. It's not happening all over the place. The fats control everything. The fats act like regulating substances that allow the electrical flow to occur with more efficiency. And when you're deficient in fats, it doesn't happen that way. Another issue, by the way, when it comes to electrical energy is minerals, plant-derived minerals, all of them, all of them. And that's one of the best things, most important things about the plant-derived minerals is the fact that the electrical energy of cells depends on the minerals. I use these things in skincare, by the way. And I believe that's the missing link in one of the most important failures of modern skincare is the failure to leverage electrical energy in the skin. The skin is very electrical. Not like the heart of the brain, but it's super electrical, probably next to the heart and brain, the most electrical system in the body. And electrical substances or substances that support electrical energy are very important for skincare. And I use them in the skin, but they're certainly important for the electrical systems of the body. And the heart is the quintessential electrical system along with the brain. And we find that the B vitamins are very important for both, as are fats for the brain and the heart. And then oxygen. Now, oxygen is a little tricky in this sense. When you think about oxygen, what do you think about typically?
Breathing?
Breathing, right? So that's one important way to improve oxygenation is breathing correctly. And most of us don't breathe correctly, especially when we're under stress. As soon as you think a stressful thought, you stop breathing. Literally, you stop breathing. As soon as you think a stressful thought, and if you're thinking stressful thoughts like most people, which is a lot, you're not breathing a lot. And so breathing is very important. But the second place where oxygen becomes important is in inflammation. It's in dirty blood. Because what is it that delivers the oxygen?
What?
The blood. So as soon as the blood becomes coagulated, sticky, doesn't circulate as effectively, oxygenation starts to drop, and it drops everywhere, but when it drops in the heart, that's especially problematic because that'll throw off the rhythm. So between toxicity, sugar, as well as toxins that get into the bloodstream, malnutrition, particularly fats and B vitamins, although there's other things as well, and minerals, and hypoxia or low levels of oxygen, you have the main reasons, toxicity, malnutrition, and oxygenation, the main reasons why you develop cardiovascular disease, including arrhythmias, and what you can do about it. Number one, leaky gut. Work on the gut, all the digestive health supplements, food diary, everything you do for digestive health. And remember, the less calories you ingest, the healthier you'll be. Number two, make sure you're breathing correctly and make sure you're moving correctly. And try to fluidize the blood wherever possible. By fluidize the blood, I'm talking about improved blood circulation. So, but enzymes, glucogel caps, FucoidZ. What's the one with the nattokinase? I forgot which one. What's the problem? No, does that have nattokinase in it?
It does.
Okay. That was another one I was thinking of that had nattokinase, but that's a good one.
The
I-20.
The probiotic, it's Nightly Essence.
Nightly Essence has it. Okay. That's right. Nattokinase. Anything you do to clean the blood or to fluidize the blood. Water will fluidize the blood. Breathing will fluidize the blood. Movement will fluidize the blood. Diaphragmatic breathing, leveraging the diaphragm, up and down action acts like a pump. So anything you do for oxygenation. And then, of course, get on the healthy brain and heart pack. And I would throw in the ultimate niacin as well. Ultimate selenium, well, that might be part of the healthy brain and heart pack, actually. The ultimate selenium. And yeah, magnesium. Magnesium is maybe the most important mineral element for the heart. Magnesium balances out calcium. One of the things that happens when our cells, it's all about the cells. When your cells become sick, if you will, one of the first things that happens is they don't handle calcium as well, and calcium floods into the cell. When calcium floods into the cell, big problems arise. I think we may have talked about calcium toxicity and calcification. Calcium is a very, very tricky element. It is arguably the most important element in the body in the sense that it activates everything. And so calcium is at the level of the cell is very tightly controlled. Because if calcium comes in too fast, cells burn out. Cells will die. And before then, they'll get all spastic. So calcium is a serious element, and one of the ways to handle calcium is to use other nutrients that balance it, and magnesium is one of those, as is vitamin K, by the way. That has those naturally help the body control calcium. Now, you're also going to want to work on the cell to make sure that the cell membranes are intact or are healthy enough to support regulated flow of calcium into the cells.
To support the cell membrane?
Fats, EFAs. Fats. The membranes are made of fats. That's the key, is the membranes.
Pharmacist Ben, you said a couple minutes ago that the skin was electrical. How do we support the development of connective tissue besides replacing connective tissue? Since we're talking about this skyscraper, a lot of times when we talk
about the body's constant, I know what you're saying. How do you strengthen it rather than building new connective tissues? What you're saying?
I'm asking, how do we build new as opposed to replacing it? Because like if you use collagen peptides or you use glucogel, you're kind of replacing, right? You're using
collagen is constantly being broken down and built up. In fact, the entire body is in this constant turnover of things being broken down and built up. There's a reason for this, because you always want fresh tissue. You don't want old tissue. You always want fresh tissue. You want your tissue as fresh as possible, and the body's constantly recirculating so the tissue stays fresh. Make sense?
I definitely never like to use someone's used tissue. I always like fresh tissue.
Very amusing. Very amusing. The body wants the tissue, the collagen, the connective tissue fresh. And so it's constantly breaking it down. In fact, there are some strategies, unfortunately, very misguided, at least in skincare, where they suppress the deterioration of collagen. That's how, by the way, that's how some of these osteoporosis drugs work, is they suppress the breakdown. You follow? So it's a drug strategy and unfortunately a skincare strategy. And the skincare business is an extension of the drug business, by the way. And so there's a strategy in skincare and in drug medicine and in pharmacology to suppress the degradation of collagen. But what that does is it gives you old bone. So you get more fractures. You get bone, and on your test you get bone, but it's weaker bone. And so that's not a good strategy, because you want to encourage this turnover, it's called. You want to encourage breakdown and build up. The body's always breaking down and building up. It's like a business, you know. If you have a business, you're always spending money and you're always making money, hopefully. You know, it's a balance. If you're spending more than you're making, you're in the red. If you're making more than you're spending, you're in the black, right? The object of a business is to be in the black. The body's the same way. The body's constantly breaking down, spending money, and building up, saving money, making money. It's in this process. When you're young, you're in the red, you're in the black. When you're old, you're in the red. It's this ratio or proportion or balance of anabolism to catabolism. That's technically what it's called. Anabolism means building, like anabolic steroids, right? Catabolism means breaking down. And together, anabolism and catabolism make up metabolism, the bottom line. You want your metabolism to be net anabolic. You want to be in the black. So with collagen, your body's always going to break down collagen, but you want to be building more than you're breaking, right? More than you want to be. You want to be more anabolic, secreting and manufacturing more collagen than you're breaking down. So you're in the black. And so all of our strategies are around building the collagen, not, as you said, strengthening the collagen necessarily.
Okay, but so now, so what you're kind of saying, or what I'm hearing anyway, is that if we, you know, because Doc always talked about MSM. When he talked about building connective tissue, he talks about MSM, glucogel, and collagen peptides. He always says MSM comes at it from one direction, collagen peptides and glucogel come at it from a different direction. And what I'm kind of getting at is sulfur the building block of this connective tissue, or
okay, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. But what you said is great, because that's Doc's gift. Is he takes these ideas and makes them easy to understand, and that's exactly what it is. Now, I'm not as elegant as Dr. Wallach, so I would be a little bit more convoluted when I said it, but that's basically it. You're approaching it from different directions. MSM, and we're going to run out of time, because to talk about sulfur, It's one of my favorite subjects to talk about, is sulfur, particularly a form of sulfur called sulfate, which in my opinion is probably the most underappreciated element in the entire biochemical spectrum. Sulfate. Unbelievably important and valuable, and it's a form of sulfur, sulfur and oxygen. But sulfur and sulfate, which is how a lot of sulfur shows up in the body, has several really, really interesting properties due to its unique electrical nature. It's all about electricity. And the electrical nature of sulfur allows it to do two things. Number one, it allows it to harden things from a biochemical perspective. And not just biological tissue, it hardens rubber. Have you heard of vulcanized rubber? You know what vulcanized rubber is?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Right? So what's vulcanized rubber? In the old days when you had it's hard, right? It's hard. Yeah. It's hard. Before that, rubber used to be flimsy. It would melt. You couldn't use it. But then somebody, I think it was Charles Goodyear, actually, from Goodyear Tires, I think he came up with this process called vulcanization, which involved incorporating sulfur and creating a material that went from flimsy and hard and rubbery to something that could be used for tires, right? It had a certain substance to it. That's what sulfur does. And it does it in biological systems too. Your nails are hard because of sulfur. Your hair, the outside part of your hair, the cuticle, sulfur. Wherever there's hardness in nature, you'll find this protein called keratin, which is a hard protein that gets its hardness from sulfur. So sulfur gives things a certain hardness. But sulfate does something else interesting. Sulfur and oxygen have a different electrical energy. The oxygen changes the electrical nature of the sulfur, and sulfate is very water soluble. And it can be attached to other things to make them water soluble. So sulfate is a high energy activating substance that improves the chemical reactivity of substances. It makes things more electrically active, more reactive. And sulfate deficiency is not uncommon. How do you make, first of all, let me tell you one of the most interesting things about sulfate, and I'll tell you one of the very important things that it does. How do you think you make sulfate? What's the best way to make sulfate? The sun. That's one of the most important reasons that nobody talks about when they tell you to stay out of the sun. One of the most important things the sun does is it helps you make sulfate. And sulfate, the electrical nature of sulfate, can be leveraged by chemistry in the body to make matter, to make tissue, to make substances. What does this tell you? We're turning the sun into the body. We are solar beings. Our skin is a solar panel. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I'm listening, yeah.
We're actually making our body from the sun by the bridging action of sulfate. Sulfate is the interaction, the link, the bridge between the sun and the physical form. This means that we're like solar beings. We have solar panels on our skin. Are you following me? That's an amazing idea. Tell that to the next. And by the way, when you wear sunscreens, you deprive your body of much of that energy, or sunblocks.
Okay. So we don't manufacture sulfur. We don't manufacture sulfate.
It's in the. No, we electrify it with the sun.
Okay, so
sulfur has
from. Where is it going to come from?
Where's what going to come from?
Where's the sulfur, sulfate? Where is it coming from?
How does sulfur become sulfate?
How does it get into our body?
From food. From the Mighty 90. Oh. Sulfur comes, it's an essential mineral.
Okay, so
sulfur is an essential mineral.
Okay.
Oxygen you breathe in. When sulfur and oxygen hit the sun, they form sulfate.
This is crazy.
This is all happening in your body. This is all happening. When I first started to get my mind around this, Biochem 101, it was everything I could do not to get on my knees and praise God right on the spot.
When I hear the stuff that you say and just the intricacies, come on.
I know, come on. Come on. Do you know, listen to this. Inside, that's how I think, Yeah, I know exactly. Like, are you kidding? Come on, this is not real, right? It's like a cell. It's like a cell is this little blob. Like we think of a cell, you see on the blackboard as a circle in high school biology. It's a blob. And in that blob, you have millions of working parts. And they're all doing whatever they need to do on their own. Do you know every cell is like a radio station? It's emanating electrical energy at different frequencies, different
That
frequencies.
I'm aware of. Yes, that
And
I'm aware of.
your DNA is an antenna. It's an antenna. Come on. That's what I'm saying. Come on.
That's right.
That's how, right? Come
Okay.
on.
Wait. Wait, okay, we got one question, but what's the difference between sulfate and sulfite? And you didn't finish.
Sulfite. I
You
didn't finish what?
your story.
Which part? About the sulfate? Oh, I didn't tell you. Let me tell you the cool thing about sulfate. Yeah. Thank you for keeping me on track there. Sulfate makes, because of its electrical nature, it interacts with water. So when fats get stuck to sulfate, they become more water soluble. Cholesterol sulfate is a water sulfate makes cholesterol easier to transport. Sulfate's one of the best things for your heart in terms of cholesterol because it improves the solubility of this waxy, thick substance. Cholesterol is a wax, and sulfate improves its solubility. And you get sulfate from the sun. So in a way, the sun is one of the most important things you can do to protect your heart from cholesterol deposits. Of course, we know cholesterol deposits can also be, you can reduce cholesterol deposits by strengthening your connective tissue too. But one of the ways that we make cholesterol easier to process for the body is through sulfate. That was the point I wanted to make about sulfate.
Interesting. And thank you for that.
Shingles. Somebody has shingles, I saw here. Oh, it's sulfite. It has an electrical nature that's slightly different than sulfate, and it makes it more effective as a preservative. And they use that as a preservative. But because it does have an electrical activity, some people can react to sulfites too. And a lot of people have reactions to wine, which is notorious for having sulfites in it.
Okay. So Gail is mentioning she's got a severe case of shingles 2.5 years ago. And she's still having issues, a nerve pain in that area.
Yes. So, a couple things. If you still have issues, after Lyme's, shingle, COVID, things where you shouldn't be, where you should not be
lingering.
You should have healed. You always want to assume something's getting into your blood chronically that's exacerbating that inflammation. So if she had a severe case of shingles and she's still getting nerve pain, she hasn't healed. Same with long COVID and chronic Lyme disease. Any kind of health challenge that's infectious where you don't heal, assume there's some kind of triggering inflammatory substance that's streaming into your bloodstream. So for this gal, usually only older people get shingles. Do you know why that would be?
Because their immune system is compromised?
Correct. It takes a long time for that to happen. Kids don't get shingles typically. So that's a sign that the body is compromised. Where does the immune system live? The gut.
And the bones?
So,
right?
No, the immune system doesn't live in the bones, but white blood cells, I think you're talking about white blood cells.
Yeah, we had this conversation recently.
Yeah. No, cells are, somebody asked about red blood cells. Cells are in the bone marrow. The cells are made in the bone marrow, but the immune system is headquartered in the intestine.
Absolutely.
For good reason, obviously. So I always, whenever somebody has a long or chronic case of a condition that should resolve, like an infection, I assume there's histamine and there's LPSs and bacterial particles and all kinds of stuff getting into the blood that are exacerbating inflammation and putting a burden on the immune system.
What do you think of apple cider vinegar?
Awesome stuff. Awesome. Big fan. Apple cider vinegar.
Mm-hmm. Pharmacist Ben, what are you going to do for your New Year's Eve? Is there a big party at the Ben Ranch?
At the Ben Ranch? No. I am 65 years old, man.
So you don't look it. So you don't act it. I mean, and that's not a bad thing, by the way. That's not.
I don't act 65.
No.
I don't know if I told you this. Stop me if I told you this, but I went to a party a couple weeks ago. Christmas party, and it
You
was
did
like,
mention.
did I mention?
And
Uh,
everybody's not doing so well.
No, I hadn't been to like a party like in that setting for a long time, and so I saw a bunch of my old friends who are now 65, right, or in their 60s or whatever, and all anybody wanted to talk about was their arthritis and their hip replacement and their knee replacement and their triple bypass. And it's like, I don't ever want to be that, but who knows? Just live a good life, live a clean life. Don't out with the bad, in with the good. Don't forget spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. It's on all levels. There's so many ways that we could be healthy. We're leaving health on the table. That's the key. We're leaving good health. We're leaving years on the table. We're leaving quality of life on the table. I'm in the skin business. We're leaving beauty on the table because we're not doing it right. We're not living right from a spiritual, mental, emotional perspective, as well as from a physical perspective. We're just not doing it right. So what does that mean? That means we have so much room to improve. It's like we're so far underneath baseline that we have all this wonderful territory that we can take advantage of to get better. And if you think you're good now, imagine what you could be. And if you're not good now, this is what's possible. And I think, Becca, see if you agree with this, and AJ, our most important job is to inspire people. Not so much to give people just the raw information. That's important, but the hope. One time somebody said that, I've gotten a lot of compliments in my time about all the stuff I do. But one guy said something to me that I never forgot, and it was the coolest thing he said. You give people hope. And that meant so much to me when he said that. You give people hope. I took that very seriously, and that's what we can all do. We can give people hope. And if you don't know the intricacies of how all the stuff is put together, you can call me or Dr. Dennison or Glidden, or there's a bunch of us you could talk to, but we can all give people inspiration and hope, all of us.
And who else can give inspiration? That's going to be our people who are watching and who often contribute, like Dorothy and our good new friend Monique, and we got ZZ Cap, and of course Bruce, and who else we got? Victor. And
how do you see all these people? Where are you seeing all these folks?
And Gail, and I know Becca. Who else is anybody making themselves known on Rumble? And let's see here, and Monique and Miss Philly. Miss Philly dealing with some digestive, and hopefully she's feeling a little bit better than she was over the weekend.
Is that you?
So
I got an echo.
On Rumble, we have Jackie and Annie, and Facebook we have Shirley, and there's several people. Shirley's
Are we on Facebook too? We're on Facebook.
And on
We're on
X.
3 different Facebook.
Why there's this terrible echo I'm hearing here all of a sudden.
That's Becca. Don't worry about it. It's just how she is. Just don't worry about it. And Keely, do you have anything that you want to say to the folks about New Year? Tell them Happy New Year. Is there something you want to say, Keely? Keely has been getting people out of the medical system with her strategies. She's been going into the hospitals and saying, "Hey, come with me. I got a better way." And she's been poaching it from the doctors. I told her she's gonna need to have somebody watching her bushes because the MDs are gonna be lining up.
All right.
Keely,
thank you, AJ. Have a happy New Year, AJ, Becca, and the Daily with Doc on Friday, or no? Is that a yes? Daily with Doc. All right. I'll see you on Friday.
Pharmacist Ben, you're the man. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Good to see everybody. Bye. Happy New Year.